Hi, my name is April Giuliano and welcome to my YouTube channel. Right here is where you will learn all things real estate and how to juggle being a mom and entrepreneur. Before you watch the rest of this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. When starting any business, you are going to first be a one-man band or a solopreneur, I like to call it. And the same goes for getting into real estate. You are the one person that does it all. And when you first start, you're going to be accumulating leads. So that's kind of where I was in my business. We were looking for our first deal. We had no leads. We had to generate them ourselves. And once we started accumulating leads is when we ran into our very first bottleneck. And that's what you will run into as well. So what do you do with these leads? Then you have to start following up. Well, that means now you're taking some of that time away from the lead generation. So that would really be your first bottleneck. Okay, I'm generating leads, but now I have to follow up on leads. What am I going to do about lead generation? You never want to forget about the step before, right? So every single time you're going to fill a spot, you want to think about never stopping the generating, right? Leads are going to be what's feeding your pipeline. It's feeding your business. So you never, ever, ever want to stop generating those leads. So when I got to a point where I was ready to have somebody else generate my leads, then that was my first hire. The very first thing that I did was hire my sister, which I don't always recommend hiring family, but this was my journey, and I can tell you more about my journey. I won't be able to tell you the ABCs of yours, but I hired my sister to help me generate leads while I was doing the follow-up. And now that I'm doing the follow-up, suddenly I get my first deal. And what do I do when I get my first deal? I have to get it under contract. I need to find where the contracts are. And so these are kind of the steps along the way that you're going to start figuring out as you're building your real estate business. And each and every time I felt a little bit bottlenecked in one area, I knew that I had to bring somebody in or find somebody to joint venture with. We call that JV, to help me either get that deal under contract with contracts or to sell that deal to a buyer. So my very first contract that I got under, right, I didn't actually have the paperwork. And so I had to go out and I had to find somebody who would bring the paperwork and the buyer. And so I joint ventured with that person and we split the profits. And so I had my sister generating the leads, I was following up on the leads, and I had this person that was helping me get them under contract with the paperwork, get it through title, find the buyer, and get it closed. And so these are all the different ways that you're going to find kind of bottleneck your business. And I did this for a long time until I realized that, I had built up enough buyers that I could do this myself. However, I was really busy following up on leads. So I had somebody now generating leads, and now I needed someone to follow up on my leads for me. I no longer had time to do that. And so at that point is when I hired my very first acquisition manager. And again, none of this was perfect. This is my journey. I was figuring things out along the way, but you will lose money if you forget about any parts of your business. If you aren't lead generating, if you're not following up, if you're not finding buyers, if you forget about any of these parts of your business and let it fall off, you are not going to have a business. You will lose money. And so these are all the things that you need to consider. You start from the beginning, and as you start to bottleneck and realize that you don't have time for all of these things, you are going to have to start hiring people to get into those positions, which means creating SOPs, standard operating procedures. And I just have to be honest here and say that I'm still in this building phase of my business, and I've actually gone back and scratched the system several times as the market has changed and my business has changed, and gotten to a point again where I had recommended to so many people, don't reinvent the wheel, go find somebody who's doing what you want to do and copy them. And so that's what I've done. I've I've linked in with some people who are very successful in wholesale. I've looked at their business model and I've started building mine based on that. And so, the first thing is we've got to generate the leads, right? So, we hired people, mailers and PPC people who can generate our leads and put them onto our conveyor belt. From there, we hired an acquisition manager, which is the person that is going to answer all these calls, all these people that are coming in, and they're going to follow up on the leads. And then we have a TC, which is a transaction coordinator, who right now is one of my partners. So really, we're still doing that position. We haven't even hired that out yet, which is something that we're going to have to also consider coming up. So, I'm still in the building phase of my business, where we do have a lot of leads coming in. We do have contracts that we're closing, but we're actually even still building out our buyers list. And because I'm a buyer, I do buy a lot of the leads that we close, which is great. However, we do need to start building out our buyers list as well. And so at this point, my team consists of myself, which I would consider myself on the sales end, acquisitions, generating leads, and my partner is what we call an integrator. She's the one that builds all the systems, makes sure everything is running correctly, holds our feet to the fire as far as following all of our SOPs, writing all of our SOPs, and all of those things. And so we have a very small team right now, and we're building on that. We try to run very lean because we do want to be a profitable business. But as we start to bottleneck in these certain areas, like recently, we realized, hey, we're going to need to hire an additional acquisition manager because we have so many leads, and we don't want a single lead to fall through the system, especially if we're paying for them with these inbound leads. So now we're realizing, hey, we need to go ahead and input an acquisition manager. And then our next step from there would be to hire a transaction coordinator, someone who's going to be able to put out the contracts. I mean, last night, my partner wasn't available, and so I was writing a contract up at 10 p.m. to send it out. That's not something that I should be doing. So you see, I still run into issues in my business. I'm still building my business. I don't want to be writing contracts at 10 p.m. I want to be thinking about how I can build my business to make it better. Like, that's my role. That's my responsibility. Where can I input other people, hire people to keep this thing growing and keep it moving? But what I can trust is that I'm building a system slowly that is generating leads. They're getting followed up on. We know the systems. We know the SOPs. We can trust our KPIs, and we can make decisions based off of our numbers. So we know exactly where we are and exactly where we need to input people. And so these are just all the things that you need to consider as you're building, which is hiring, KPIs, numbers, lead generation, all these things that can start to bottleneck in your business. And so when you're first getting started, you are going to need help. You're going to need help with your leads. You're going to need help closing deals with contracts. And so that's what my team and we have done. We have built this machine that we are able and capable to handle more leads. And so we would love to JV and help anybody who's getting started in real estate and has leads that they don't know what to do with, or maybe leads that are under contract. If you go to my bio and Instagram at April N. Giuliano, you'll be able to find there a lead submission form, and someone from my team will reach out to you. I'm going to be sharing a lot more about my business and how to get started in real estate on my YouTube channel and my Instagram. And so if you've enjoyed this content and you think it could help someone else, please like and subscribe and share my videos with whoever you feel like would benefit from this.